Ripping with my soles cause I couldn't get a touch. You told me that you knew, but you never knew better. Now you try, but it's only a misunderstanding. Why you never defeat me, you only bring me a patriot of the economy. What do you want from me? I will not let you free, cause I am alone, and this is my mission. All alone, baby, but you never could listen. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 you blind side like you never thought it happened. I kept it sorry as it's never. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 hey. It's cool. Therefore, we gonna be. Look at me, call out for your contention. From your mind, little step. From your body, no pension. The puzzle we play, we can get your ass to move. You know you can't stand still till we beat the fucking groove. Look at me fall out the sky like lightning. I felt like it was February. Trying hard, so hard to the deep end. Rule 5, 2, step up, beat it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 blood shot like you never thought it happened. Oh, I got the sorry as never. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Glad you all decided to hang out with us for a few hours on a Friday night. Hopefully, everybody's enjoying themselves. Get yourself a nice cold drink, whether it be some 7 Up or a beer or something like that, you know? D-Style, brother, you there?
What's going on, man? What is going on this Friday quarantined weekend? How's it going?
Man, another quarantine weekend, man. I feel good, though, man. I got a lot of things done. You know, I had a pretty productive day, man. No more homeschool for the rest of the week. So I'm ready to get this thing going, man. Big Dog Willie, I see you here, man. I got a link there for you if you want to jump on. Hopefully the other brothers come on real shortly. Excuse me. But we got a nice show here today, man. AJ Ted says, I want to see that Mike Tyson comeback. I did a video on that earlier, man. I don't want to see that personally. But yeah, so today we're going to talk again, part 2 on how to fix boxing. You ready for this thing, D-Style?
Absolutely, bro. I was Canelo stole my line, bro. I was born ready.
I was born ready.
I was born ready. It's me, bro.
What is up? What is up?
What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
This is crazy. The fire department just came by my house and was playing. This is the craziest shit. Playing. What's that song about for real? You're happy. That song right there. I'm a healthcare worker. That's crazy, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is crazy, actually.
Yeah. So on this week's show, man, we're going to talk about. I think these two topics, man, they kind of go hand in hand, man. We're going to talk about judges and promoters, man. So we'll see where we go from there, man. And like I said, hopefully the other brothers decide to jump in, and we'll go from there. But D-Style, my brother, I'm gonna start with you, man.
All right.
So when I mean judges, I'm not talking about how you or I or Big Dog Willie or anybody that's watching judges fights.
Right.
I'm talking about how the judges judge fights. Do you? I personally, I think that the 10-point must system is cool. I think that the criteria, the 4 points in the criteria are cool. But I think the problem is how these judges actually judge the fight, man. Too many times we see fights where it's pretty obvious one guy wins, but the other guy gets the W officially, you know? What do you think, man, is the first thing that should be done to stop that type of stuff from happening, man?
You know, let me say this. If we kind of like take a step back and think about it, you know, while I agree that I don't have an issue with a 10-point must system, I like the 4 criterias and all that, but the problem for me is it still leaves too much room for interpretation, right? Like, to me, clean, effective punching should matter more than all the other 3 criteria. Because at the end of the day, landing punches is just more important than everything else. Not that everything else doesn't matter. It should matter. We should keep it in mind. But clean, effective punching, to me, is done when you do the other 3 things properly. Like, if your defense is good, you're going to get hit less, and you're going to hit your opponent more, right? If you are effective with your aggression, you're going to be landing clean, effective punches. Now, granted, it's more complicated than that. I know, a lot of people kind of score like it's just a basketball game. He landed 5 punches. There's a guy that landed 7. I give it to the guy that landed 7. That's why I say we got to count the other criteria as well. But the problem is not like, oh man, like these judges, they just have a difference of opinion. They just saw it differently. And no, the problem is that when there's a house fighter, almost always there's that one judge that saw a completely different fight, right? And no one understands the logic behind what that one judge scored. And it almost always happens with house fighters. It almost always happened in main events of Don King cards. It almost always happened. It's not just a one-off. This is not just some, once in a while. It was almost a guarantee. The exception of the rule was when it didn't happen. So I've always felt that the problem is not incompetence, because we can have a difference of opinion on how we both score a close fight. The problem is not incompetence. The problem is corruption. And
Absolutely.
it's not done like look, man. They don't pull these judges to the side and be like, yo, give it to my guy. It's not how it works. Okay. They treat them to a nice dinner, bro. You know what I mean? They take them somewhere nice, and then they tell them something like, "Hey, Chief Funky, hey, Chief Funky and Big Dog Willie, man, you guys are great, man. I want to keep bringing you back to these, I want you to bring your ladies and everything to this extravagant, exotic locations like Hawaii. You know what I mean? Before every big fight, I want to keep bringing you guys here. I'm just saying." You know what I mean? But I know you're going to score that fight fair and down the middle for me, all right, when that day comes. So you guys do that, and I'll see you guys in Hawaii next time. All paid for, by the way. You know what I mean? Wink, wink. Not. I didn't say anything, though, right?
Absolutely. Oh, it looks like we lost Big Dog Willie here. Yeah, man, I agree, man. It's not like most people think, when the corruption comes into play. Yeah, the another thing that bothers me is that, I hear casual fans all the time. They say that, and at least in my experience, your experience might be a little bit different than mine, but in my experience, talking with most casual fans who are fans of other sports, their main issue with boxing is that guys, they watch a fight and say, man, this guy won a fight. He doesn't get the W. Like, I can't stand that. I hate that. And, I'm right there too, man. I'm right there too with these guys. And that's why I'm opening up this conversation, man.
Before we go to Big Dog Willie, so while I get that, you know what I mean? Here's my problem with casuals, though. Right? More often than not, they believe what the people broadcasting the fight tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like anyone who tells me that this is why there's people that believe that Gennady Golovkin was flat out robbed against Canelo in the first fight and the second fight, which to me is ludicrous, right? This is why many of them, don't see that Lara, in many people's eyes, won the fight against Canelo. So while I get what you're saying, boxing definitely has a perception about the corruption of judges, but this is why this is a very complicated issue. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, like at least half of the time, the casuals get it wrong, though.
Oh, right?
Yeah. That's what I'll say about that.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Big Dog, man, what's going on, bro? You want to chime in on that, man? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was talking about the scoring, and honestly, I think that every judge should have like a certain criteria they work on. Like somebody work for power, somebody work for somebody judges the power, somebody judges the amount of punches are hit, and somebody judges the amount of punches that affect around. I don't believe in like because every judge has their own criteria of how they see the fight. And I really think if you separate when the three judges, you separate what they see throughout the fight, I think it would automatically would come to a decision like, okay, this like a boxer, like a judge will say, okay, this guy landed more power punches, but this guy landed just as many power punches, and the guy was like, this guy landed at just many as flush punches or punches that matter, like as in a jab or something, or a dig to the stomach. It will make more sense. I don't like how all these judges have these different criteria, and you don't know what criteria they have. Like two judges be like, oh, I like the power, or one judge is like, I like how many times they hit the person in the face or in the body. There's no consistency, and I think if they separate the three, I think honestly that would make it more consistent as a judging, instead of just having three judges basically just go off of what they see and how they feel about the fight, because that's when it does come into like the fact of like oh well, it's a Don King's card, or it's a Bob Aaron card, or it's a PBC card, or it's a fucking Matchroom card. That's where it comes to thing. I think honestly, the judges should be completely. They're supposed to be, but completely like separated from the governing bodies and the promoters. And I think if you do it that way, that makes more sense.
You brought up some good points, man, that I like. I feel too many times I hear judges say this as well. Well, this guy, he came forward all night, or something like that. Like I just completely disagree with those sort of things. Like I think if you're a judge, it shouldn't be what you like. It should be what you're supposed to be judging and fighting on, which is the four criterias of scoring. D-Style, you want to chime in on that, bro?
Yeah, look, here's my I get it, right? One, we're like, I want to make sure people understand that we're never going to be perfect scoring fights. Okay, like people are going to just have to accept that. You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be like everyone just universally agrees on who won the fight, and like there's very rarely is there a fight where everyone just agrees 100% on how it should have gone, right? But there is a spectrum, though, right? And what I mean by that is, if let's take the Lara Canelo fight. If someone tells me they have Lara winning, I'm okay with that, right? I had Canelo winning, but I had Canelo winning 7-5. I give Lara 5 rounds, right? If someone gave Lara 8-4 or Canelo 8-4, and they can give an argument, I get it. I'll disagree with the guys that have Lara winning, but I get it at least. I see that spectrum, right? Now, if someone tells me, no, Canelo won 10, 11 rounds, easy, right? Then you're out of that spectrum. Like you're nowhere near the conversation. If you think Lara won 10 rounds or something, you're out of there for me. You know what I mean? Even 9 rounds, you're out of there for me. You're pushing it at 8. And I sometimes I feel like so many people are just out of that spectrum. And I think people just remember highlights of fights, big moments in fights. And the best example I can give you is Mayweather versus De La Hoya. So I had Mayweather winning that fight. I scored it 8-4. 7-5 is usually the 2 scores I get for that fight. Okay. I got in 7-5. Watched it several times. I use like half the time it's 8-4, half the time 7-5 Mayweather. All right. But my issue for me is when people tell me, nah, bro, Mayweather won 10 rounds, 11 rounds. De La Hoya never even hit him. Well, no, that's revisionist history. He did hit him. Look at his face at the press conference. Both eyebrows are swollen up from punches. De La Hoya hit him. Deal with it, okay? He did hit Mayweather. He did win at least 4 rounds of that fight. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. But there's people that they just do lazy scoring, and they just say he didn't hit him. They just remember like him making De La Hoya miss in highlights, and that's what they remember. Because people, that's just the type of memory they have, and you're just out of the spectrum for me if you just don't, if you know what I mean. So that's how I feel. Now, there's just certain people that are just toxic. Stephen A. Smith is toxic talking about boxing. He doesn't know boxing.
Terrible.
He doesn't follow the sport. He's capable of it, but this guy watches almost every sport. He doesn't have the time to focus on boxing like that. I mean, and the type of narrative he needs is a shock jock narrative. The narrative that makes people go like, "Oh my God, you got robbed!" Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's my issue. For the most part.
Yeah, I have a problem with that also, man. Like, if a fight is close, competitive, of course there's going to be certain people, and these are knowledgeable people that watch a fight. They're going to be like, well, I thought this guy won this round. Well, I thought this guy won this round. You're going to have those 50-50 rounds. Now, as long as the scorecards are like you said, they're in a certain spectrum. Like if I say, hey, I had this guy winning 7 rounds of 5, and the other guy has, well, I had the other guy winning 7 rounds of 5. That's just a couple rounds of difference there.
Right.
But when we get those crazy scorecards, I mean, those lunatic, crazy scorecards, and we see them from these quote unquote real professional judges, man. I mean, man, it makes everything look terrible, man. And there's got to be a way to clean that up. What do you guys think? I've heard this idea thrown out there, and I've heard it on broadcasts of boxing, where they've talked about possibly doing judges away from ringside and watching the fight on TV. I'll let Big Dog Willie go first, man. What do you think about that?
Well, you say the question again. 'Cause I was kind of like, I'm barbecuing right now. Say the question again.
Oh, I feel you, man. I was doing the same thing earlier today. What do you feel about judges judging a fight not at ringside like they normally do, but maybe backstage on television, on a TV set, no audio, no commentaries, just the fight from all angles? What do you feel about that?
I mean, you know what? I think judging at ringside is the best way to do it. I can't see him doing from an outside, like from a TV set thing. I think sitting down at the bottom of the ring, and watching a fight is the best way to do it. Now, what I do want them to do is most judges all sit together on one side of the ring. I think they should be spread out from different sides of the ring. I think one should be on one side, one should be on another side, one should be on another side. And I think that'll make it more so that everybody can see the angles that they're at. So somebody can just see, oh, well, this person hit this person flush, and this is my other side can be like, well, maybe, I seen this way, that way. And then at the end of the fight, they get together and then they can figure out what's going good. I don't really believe that when them all sitting on one side of the fight, I think they really literally sit there together and look at each other's scores and be like, oh, well, I think they get influenced by each other's scores. I don't believe that they're separately thinking. I really don't think they're separately thinking differently. And that's where I come with that. Like, just like in that fight with the, what kind of thing? What fight was it? It was just a travesty.
Well, so there's several of those fights, man.
Oh well, yeah, okay, I know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a particular one. The Chavez and Chavez and what's his name? Whitaker fight. Now everybody, and it was a Don King card, so there's probably so much that was probably involved in that cheating, but there's no way in hell that Chavez had a draw with that man. It was just complete wipeout. It was just complete wipeout, and I honestly think that, I mean, like I said, it's the promoters. I can't really think of anything else that's different from it. It's the promoters, and I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to exclude the promoters and the governing bodies involved. But I think a lot of times the fights are just determined from before it even happens.
It does seem like that sometimes, man, that judges have their cards filled out before the fight even starts, D-Style, what do you think, man? Should judges stay ringside or watch the fight on TV in a
Just keep
separate
them
area?
ringside, bro. They don't have to be like that. That's not what the issue is. The issue isn't, it's because they got to watch it on TV, right? But that's not the issue at all. Like the best way to witness something is to be right in front of it, right? So that's where you got to judge it from, and there's 2 other ones there. So just watch the damn fight and score it. You know what I mean? And that's what you got to do. It's the same as some Big Dog Will. But I already got the beer and shit. You know what I mean? But look, man, just go ahead and just square the fights from where they are, man. That's it. You know what I mean?
How about this idea? Because the only reason why I asked that is because I've heard, I think it was HBO. I heard it on an HBO broadcast where they're talking about doing that because there was a fight that people were just complaining about. They were saying, you know, there's no way that this guy should have won. There's no way the other fight should have been close. So they're like, what about if we put the guys in the back with the TV and there's no sound, no crowd influence, no broadcaster influence?
No.
What do you feel about, like, I don't know if you guys watch tennis or not, but they have the line judges sitting on these like these high seats above where they can see everything, you know? Like, do you think that would help these guys or no?
Bro, it's not that they need help with the vision or anything like that. You know what I mean? The problem is not like there's always going to be disagreement in fights. It doesn't matter if you watch it on a high chair, from a parachute, on TV, with no sound, slow motion, fast speed. We're never going to end that. The problem is corruption, bro. You know what I mean? You think it's a coincidence that the house fighters usually win the close fights? You think it's a coincidence that it's usually the big names that win? That's not a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So this is just what I'm saying is, even if you fix all the corruption, we're still going to have fights fans are not going to agree with, and fans are still going to cry robbery. Like, you're not going to ever get rid of that. But the big, atrocious ones is corruption. You know what I mean? And I've explained to people what it is. If you're the judge that's there to give it to a certain fighter, right? From round 1 on, like, your goal is to get that fighter 7 rounds. So if a round is close early, you're going to give it to the guy you want to see win. Round 2 comes, you're going to give it to that guy. Okay, that's how you end up with the wide scores. Because once you lock into 7 rounds for your guy, and your guy really does win round 9, you're going to give it to him, and then he really does win round 12. You're going to give him that. That's how you end up with the highest. Anybody that's ever wondered, like, why is it so wide? If they're going to rob him, why not just make it close? Because they don't know they don't know there's going to be knockdowns later in the fight. They don't know how bad they're going to lose later in the fight. They don't know how the second half's really going to look, or the last four rounds. So that's all, you know. That's all I'll say about that.
We got Hector Lopez's lie detector test for all judges, referees, officials. Boxing is corrupt. It certainly is, man. I agree. And, man, that's why I decided to do these 2 topics together, because they kind of go hand in hand, you know. When we have these
I gotta just say this, bro. Like, I just gotta say this, and I hope everyone understands what I'm saying. We're not really close to doing it, but if we ever got rid of every corrupt judge and every form of corruption, right? Every single form, we're never going to get rid of controversy when fights go to the scorecards. The scorecard is the default way we decide fights. These fighters are supposed to be trying to knock the other fighter out so there's no controversy. All right? That's why I love knockout artists. Because they don't leave it to they don't leave it. It makes it easy to determine who won the damn fight. All right?
Makes sense.
Right? But so we're never going to make everyone satisfied. Like, who always cries about the judges? Teddy Atlas, right? Teddy Atlas thinks Triple G was robbed in a second Canelo fight. If he was a judge, he would have given that fight to Triple G, and to me, that would be robbing Canelo. Right? So I'm just saying, we're never going to, what we can do, however, is prohibit promoters from treating refs and judges out to dinner and vacations and stuff like that. Because that type of corruption we do got to get rid of, and it will limit the amount of the outrage we have. But people are never going to be happy, bro. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you, when it comes, as long as fights go to the scorecards and these guys aren't going for the knockout, there's always going to be controversy, no matter what.
Yeah, if it's a if the fight is close, and I say this often, if it's a close fight, I won't argue with anybody if they had it going the other way. But these kind of scorecards, like AJ10 just posted, he's asking the question: anybody had Canelo beating Trout 118-109?
No,
that's just ridiculous, man. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's called early stacking. That's called they were stacking up the rounds in Canelo's favor. Right,
and
early.
they had open scoring for that fight too, which I think is just ridiculous, man. What do you guys think about that open scoring?
Well, the intention, for open scoring, is to prevent judges from stacking early, right? But I don't like it.
It doesn't matter. It still doesn't matter in open scoring. I know what you're trying to say, D-Style, but there's always a way around it. And so
I was going to say that open scoring sucks. You know what I mean? It deprives us of the drama going into the 12th round. You know what I mean? And I think fighters should know what the score is.
I think they should know. But I mean, in terms of I
disagree. I don't think they should know. I don't think it should be open.
No, I don't know. I think they should know round and round. I honestly think they should know round and round because they can be held accountable. And then at the end of the fight, I think actually at the end of the fight, a judge should explain each round to everybody to add more drama to the fucking fight. You shouldn't just sit there and be like, "Oh, he won," just like the Canelo and Mayweather fight. There's no way in hell Canelo pull a draw. It was so horrible. Like what round did Canelo win? Like what round did he cause significant damage to Mayweather?
It definitely wasn't a draw. I gave Canelo, I think, like 3 rounds, but
a draw.
But I hear you. I just absolute statements like he didn't win any rounds.
No, I'm talking about two. Yeah. I'm not saying he didn't win any rounds. What I'm saying is, are you serious? A draw happened with that fight.
Fight wasn't close at all.
Canelo did not get anywhere near 6 rounds. I agree.
Yeah. And those are the things that just, again, when people see those sort of things happen, they complain, and then they say, well, this is why boxing, I don't watch it no more.
No, I do want to challenge that notion, though. So, yes, of course, people got to realize, though, that boxing, when you're scoring, it is subjective, although we have a criteria, and if people followed it, there would be far less. If you follow it, there's no way you end up with Canelo with a draw against Floyd. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But come on, dude. Other sports have controversies as well that cost games. You know what I mean? Look at when the Rams hit that blatant foul,
pass interference,
pass interference against the Saints. That was blatant. You know what I mean? And the 2 refs were watching it while it happened, and they didn't throw the flag, right? And that cost the Saints a Super Bowl. Going to the Super Bowl, I should say, right?
Yeah.
And my thing is, in boxing, we don't have a scoreboard. If it goes to the distance, then 3 judges have to score the fight. And I don't think people stopped watching boxing because they didn't like the way the fight was scored. Do you?
I've known a few people that I've seen.
You really Maybe it was the last straw, but you think they were in love with boxing, and then one fight was scored wrong, and they stopped watching?
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think a lot of people do stop watching boxing the way it's scored. I really honestly think that. It's like different points that I seen boxing matches, and I'm like, oh hell no! Why should I watch this? Why if I automatically seen this guy just honestly whoop somebody's ass and he lost a fight? Why should I watch this ever again? And that's how I feel. That's how I feel because it's no chance. It's no fair.
I've known a few people.
I just think, like, here's what I think, man. Like, no other sport is like this in a set. I guess MMA, but like that's just out of the sport's control in terms of the sport itself. Like, are you really going to stop watching fisticuffs because there's a fight that you disagreed with the way the judge scored it? You're allowed 3 men to deprive you from watching a sport you love?
No, it's a sport that I love, but it's the fact that, like, you see somebody completely whipping somebody's ass, and you know, like, oh yeah, this guy's has it in the bag. It's like, and then you're like, how did he win? He got, like, somebody's like that's irritating.
It is.
So
it
irritating.
is, man. I gotta say this, man.
Yeah. Right.
A fight that was really under the radar. That was probably the worst I've ever seen, as far as a guy looking like he won close to 10, 11 rounds and lost the fight on all 3 judges, was when Erislandy Lara fought Paul Williams.
Exactly.
That was one of the worst damn scorecards I've ever seen in my life. I think all 3 of the judges were suspended for that fight.
Yeah.
That was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. We got a few comments here. We got Boxing Dialogue says, I think boxing is just a bit difficult to follow for too many for casual fans don't know who the best guys are. Right. We talked about that last week. AJ10 says, I know people who have stopped watching boxing because the scorecards were BS. Same for me, man. Same for me. I remember being at a fight. I can't remember it was so long ago. I can't remember the fight. But it was one of my relatives. He's like, man, I'm never coming to watch it. He goes, no, I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but I'm never coming to watch a fight again because this is bullshit, like, and he really stopped watching, and it sucks, man. And I'm one of those guys. I take pride in being a hardcore fan. I take pride in knowing the sport and trying to help people, gain knowledge on the sport. And then when these things happen, they come to me like, what's up with this, man? And I'm just like, well, what do you want me to say? The guy got robbed. I mean,
but here's like okay, let me say this, right? Let me say this. You know how many people I saw all over social media? This is why I don't watch boxing. They robbed Triple G in the rematch. This is why I don't watch boxing anymore. But they're wrong. You could easily argue Canelo won that fight. And I just feel like every damn fight that's close, boxing's held to the standard that it must like please everybody, and it can't. It cannot provide a 100% reliable result, okay, that other sports can.
I agree.
Because you gotta judge it. You know what I mean? It's not like there's a scoreboard in the end and that's it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like while I agree that there's fights that are blatant and all that, like you guys mentioned some of them, but not all of them though. Like every damn close fight in a big event, people start complaining that this is what's wrong with boxing. You have Teddy Atlas screaming on TV and Stephen A. Smith, and they're wrong, bro. Hector Lopez is on there. Look, you're wrong. Canelo could have won that fight. 90% of the time, okay, people do not have a valid argument that this is what's wrong with boxing. I'm sorry. 10% of the time, sure. Most of the time, it's a bunch of crybaby nonsense, in my opinion. Okay? Most of the time. I just got to be honest with you guys.
Sorry to interrupt you. I hate interrupting you. But what it is that we're talking about ourselves. We're not talking about the average fan. So we might see a fight like, okay, this happened. Okay, I can see how Canelo won the fight. But you see a bunch of dudes who just love Triple G, who just love Canelo, who just love Mayweather, who just love whoever. And they can be losing the fight the whole time. And they're just popular. And everybody like them. And they were like, oh, well, I have people who come up to me and say Manny Pacquiao against Mayweather won 10 rounds. And you'd be like, why did he win 10 rounds? Oh, because he's Manny Pacquiao. You had those people who all say that. If you looked at the ESPN after they covered the fight, after Mayweather fought Pacquiao, they were like, Mayweather ran around the whole fucking fight. So how did he win? You know, he landed a high percentage. He hit Pacquiao more times. He did everything possible to win the fight. But you have these people, but it's just people who just you have fanboys who try to judge these fights. Me and you, that don't me and you and G-Funk, who knows how boxing is supposed to be judged and scored. We realize that okay, it doesn't really work like that. But you have these casuals who actually pay money for the fight. That's what it comes down to. The casuals who pay money for the fight, and we pay money for the fight.
Though.
Go ahead. My fault.
But that's my point, though, Big Dog Willie. Like people just say things about 90% of the time. Okay, most people, and some of them are boxing fans, not all of them, but a lot of casuals. Okay, treat boxing in a very unfair way. Like every damn big fight, like every fight has to look like Rocky Balboa, versus Apollo Creed, or this is why I don't watch boxing because it's boring. You know what I mean? If it doesn't live up to that, every big event, okay. They want the undercard to be stacked, or they want, the judges to please them, and you can't please everybody. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're right.
As long as these fights are going to the scorecards, 90% of the time the complaints are not valid. Like they're not. Like it's only 10% of the time that it's a problem. Now, can you argue that 10% is big enough? Yes. And do we have to work to lower that? Absolutely. All right. But
I agree.
I just believe, and I honestly believe this, and maybe not to us, but to a lot of casuals. Okay. The whole, boxing never gets it right on the scorecards. It's overstated, in my opinion. Okay, so let's talk about Mayweather Canelo, right? Did the one judge get it wrong? Yes. However, did the right guy win?
Oh, yeah.
but
the right guy won. No, well, hold on. Let me finish my point.
Okay,
right?
Go ahead.
So, I get it, but there's a filtering process. Boxing filtered out that one judge who was obviously corrupt. Okay, and it got it right. Now, like at the end of the day, in other sports, refs and shit get it wrong all the fucking time. All right? Like in other sports, they always fuck up. It always happens in other sports. But they don't have like this reputation like boxing, even though in the NBA, fucking refs were caught betting on fucking games, bro. They were caught like red-handed. In baseball, a lot of corrupt shit has happened. The fucking Astros cheated in the World Series. Okay, it's not like boxing has like this. They want boxing to live up to this fucking standard when everyone knows that if it goes to the scorecards, we have to judge it. And that's just different than other sports. It's just overstated, in my opinion, by casuals mainly, how boxing never gets it right. I don't watch boxing no more because they always judge it wrong. Bro, that's just 10% of the time. That's my honest opinion.
I agree that most of the time, it's a minority of people that say that. And most of their casual fans, fans that just watch the big ones. I want to say this. I agree here with Hector. I don't think Canelo won that first fight. If you're talking about the first fight, to me, the second fight could have went either way. I have no problem with anybody saying that Canelo won that fight. Even though I did score that fight for Triple G, I feel like there was at least 3 to 4 rounds that could have went either way.
Let me tell you something, bro.
But this is
why it's subjective. I think Canelo beat his ass the second fight. I honestly believe that.
I agree too.
I agree too. That.
And this is my point. Too. We have 3 boxing fans right now that disagree. The chat will disagree. Yet we want this standard for judges to always get it right. It's just not going to happen.
BFTB in the house, man. If you want to jump on, bro, let me know. I'll shoot you a link. We're just talking about judging and scoring fights. Yeah, I mean to me that's cool. If we're in a house full of real hardcore fans and a fight is close and it's competitive. And a lot of us have, it's 50-50, I guess I should say. A lot of people think this guy won. A lot of people think this guy won. Like, I'm cool with that, But it's just like the reason why we keep bringing up these big fights is because these are the ones that most of the casuals are there. We know casuals drive up the numbers for the sport. if we don't have their support, then the fights don't do good, you know. And to kind of touch on your the point you were making, D-Style, about other sports having referees do a bad job of officiating the games and stuff. That is true. However, it's not as obvious sometimes, you know.
Exactly.
Sometimes it is. Like I'm gonna take a jab at you, D-Style, because I know you're a Laker fan. Well, when your Lakers robbed my Kings back in 2002, all right, that was so obvious.
That was travesty. That was travesty. Yeah, that was bad. That was
so
bad.
obvious.
It is like, okay, we first of all, okay, like Shaq would just sneeze and they'll call a fucking foul on him, bro. Okay, the dude just sneeze like foul. Right, he would just touch Steve Vaughn, and this dude would just like throw himself, like it was crazy, bro.
Hey, all I'm gonna say is this: over 25, I think they had like 27 foul shots in that fourth quarter of Game 6. Man,
that was horrible.
What you guys kept fouling the Lakers, bro?
No.
Oh, Callie, what's going on, my brother? Glad you're here, man.
What's happening, fam?
Hey, so right now we're just talking on I don't know if you were listening or not, but we were talking about how fights are judged, and how can we? Is there a way that we could get it to where the big fights, where there's just these ridiculous scorecards, where one judge is just watching, I don't know, some fight in the hot dog stand or something instead of the real fight?
Well, you know what they should be, because I mean, you're gonna get different scorecards too, partially because the way the judge sat on one side of the ring and another side of the ring and on another side of the ring, so they get different angles. I mean, there's corruption that goes into it at times too. I truly believe that, but there's other times the reason why you get different scorecards just based off the angle of where the judge is judging. The best way to have judges judge fights is to sit them up if they're gonna be in an arena. Have them sit up in the I don't know, like press box or somewhere. Really, how about this? It's even better. How about have them not even at the arena where they can't be effective, each one of them at a different location, and let them watch on TV. And especially based on today, you can submit the scorecards. It's not hard.
It's
really not hard.
No, I asked that question to the panel. Nobody agreed. Nobody wanted to see that. But go ahead, Big Dog.
No. Yeah, Callie, we already discussed that, and thing about it is like sometimes the like it's different. Like sometimes sometimes the judges all sit together. They don't all sit from separate sides of the ring. They all sit together at one point. So I don't know what fight that you see. Can the opponent have all the same standpoint from the side of the ring? 'Cause I've been to boxing matches and see all three judges.
Some judges would like things. Some judges would like different things. Some judges like pressure fighters. Some judges like out fighters. Some judges like mid-range fighters. Some judges prefer counter punchers. Some judges prefer.
But that's why I was saying. That's what I was saying earlier.
That's the problem, man. Yeah, that's the problem.
How about we? What you can do is get rid of the gray area, and then make it where it's black and white, where this is what counts for scoring. That can eliminate some of the problems too. I mean, you got to make it more black and white.
Look, man, here's what I gotta say, bro. I'm not necessarily against putting judges wherever you put them. My only argument is, bro, it's like, I just want to make sure boxing fans understand this. Okay, listen to me very closely. We're never gonna eliminate controversy if fights keep going to the scorecards. Okay? Period. If it goes to the scorecards, people are judging it. Okay? They're making a judgment call on a 4-point criteria. Okay? And you're asking them to do it before the next round starts, which is in a minute, and you're asking them to remember this all real time. It doesn't matter if they're watching it, in front of the TV with no sound, or if they're against the apron. People have been watching Hagler Hearns for decades, and people can't agree on who won that fight. Some people think Hagler was flat out robbed. Some people think Leonard definitely won it. Some people see it close. It's just the way it is. People just need to accept that there's always going to be controversy, right? Now the question is, how can we limit the amount of ridiculous scorecards that we do see? I did talk about that. Okay, don't allow promoters and shit like that to treat referees and judges to dinner, and kind of like a pay-per-play kind of thing. I think that
you don't think the trip to Monaco is a good idea?
Absolutely not. It's not a good idea. That the corruption that happens, but I will say, guys, that I still believe that most, not all, but most of the controversies, right, in boxing are overstated by casuals. Overstated. Like, I'm never going to watch boxing again. I can't believe Triple G got robbed in that second fight with Canelo. This is my problem with boxing. I mean, what a dumb way to judge this sport and stop watching the sport for. Because
can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I know it's not boxing, but when I played youth football, we were in the playoffs, and we played against this other team. And funny thing is, the referee, one of the referees, was the uncle of the starting quarterback for the team that we were playing. And we kicked back in youth football. If you kick an extra point, it counts for 2. If you run it in, it only counts for 1. Back then in the 80s, right? We kicked the extra point. It clearly went in, but the people, the guy who was responsible for raising his arms up as good, waved it off. It was clear as day. We had made it. Everybody in the stadium thought that knew that we made the extra point, or I should say the 2-point conversion, which could act 2-point conversion was for when you kicked the field goal in youth football at the time, and we ended up losing 7-6. And of course, that team ended up going on to play in, quote unquote, it was called the Turkey Bowl at the time. I don't know what it is today. That was like 32 years ago. But that's isn't that convenient? Isn't that nice? I wish that I could be a boxer and I could have my uncles and my aunts and shit like that judge the fights. And have like my dad as if my dad's trying to have my dad as a referee. Wouldn't that be phenomenal? When you like that, can you imagine that? Everybody's going to ask everybody on the panel, how would you feel if when you going into every fight that your family was judging the fight with refereeing? Would you have any complaints about it yourself? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that has to be phenomenal. I couldn't even imagine something like that. They're like, hey, this is a conflict of interest. Hey, this kid's uncle is the fucking referee. I mean, you don't think there's nothing wrong with that? Oh, he knows how to be unbiased as a referee trying to say, get the fuck out of here. Come on, man.
The point I was making earlier was there's corruption or questionable things in all sports, but for some reason people just punish boxing for it. I'm never going to watch boxing ever again. They don't punish any other sport. You know what I mean? Like just boxing has to live up to this ridiculous standard for every big event. Every fight has to look like Rocky Balboa versus Apollo Creed. Every fight has to please every single person if it goes to the scorecards. You know what I mean? Every single fight. That's ridiculous, bro. Like no other sport has to live up to this ridiculous standard, right?
No, but other sports, human errors in other sports too. Let's not act like that football with some of these fucking calls in the NFL, college football, and the strike zone and baseball, and no traveling calls and offensive foul calls. I mean, there's no sport.
The problem with this, Kelly, is that like the pass interference of the Rams against the Saints, it cost the Saints the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they go to Super Bowl. But since they're not announcing the winner in the end with like what people are waiting to hear what the judges say.
They apologize later.
Yeah, but like they fuck up in other sports too. You know what I mean? Now, granted, yes, there is scorecards and you can look at them, but when people tell me, man, I stopped watching boxing because it's corrupt and I can't stand that they always rob the real winners. I'm sorry, bro. That happens in other sports too, and they're hypocrites because they're still watching those sports. I'm sorry, right?
It's
a fact though.
Yeah, it does. It does. I just think that the problem is, I mean, let's just kind of brainstorm it here for a minute.
Sure.
almost every controversial fight is always a big fight. You know,
No, but that's the nature of the sport, G-Funk.
yeah, and that's
I want you to think about it for a moment, right?
I'm just saying from a casual's perspective. Like
Well,
they
let me
see it
explain
as
why.
every time I gotta pay for a fight,
Right.
it's always a bad decision. You know, that's because I've heard that
I
a lot
get it.
too. You know, yeah.
But
I
here's
got
what I
something
wanna
to say. I got something to say. So you say like everybody, you talking about the other sports and how they think, but so if you have a Mexican fighter against a black fighter, or you have a Mexican fighter against an East European, whatever, UK fighter, remember, you just don't have a city against a city. You have a whole fucking nation against a whole nother other nation. So that disappoints the whole fucking. Now you're not disappointing like the city of Dallas. You're just disappointing the country of Mexico and part of California and part of New Mexico.
This like, let me take soccer for example. Okay, Mexico was playing the Netherlands, right? They were beating the Netherlands, right? And then they were on the way to win that game. And then, like, a Mexican player just touches one of the Netherlands players, and the dude flops in the ground, and then they worked him the penalty kick, right? Like it was obvious. It wasn't a fucking penalty. You know what I mean? And that cost Mexico that game, and it angered the whole nation and everybody that watches the sport. And FIFA's corrupt too. Almost all sports are corrupt, bro. Like,
yeah, but we're talking about
people don't hold other sports to this ridiculous standard. But here's what I want to say about like all the big fights. All the big fights are against top level fighters. Top level fighters typically don't knock each other out. It's going to go to the scorecards most of the time, and it's a subjective sport. So, guys, like I said, 90% of the time, it doesn't warrant that's it. I'm going to stop watching boxing. I can't believe that this shit's so corrupt. I just don't think it warrants that. I just don't.
But if you're a casual fan, and it's like you can't. Soccer is completely different from boxing. Because there's other boxers from that nation. But if you compare soccer, there's one team for that soccer. So you're always gonna go back to that one team in Mexico, or the one team in the United States, or that one team in the Netherlands. So, but if you think about like us of a boxer's other boxer, like I can turn to this other person to fight. And so I honestly think that. Like in terms of the scoring, boxing is a lot more critical because it like if your heart broke is on this Canelo and or Triple G or whatever, and you see these motherfuckers and one of them lose because of a bad scorecard, you'll be on fire because you have to.
Hey, no, Big Dog Willie, I'm a Raiders fan, bro. Big Dog Willie, I'm a Raiders fan, so don't just say it's just boxing, bro. All the fucked up calls that my team has went through, shit, bro. I'm telling you, it's unlimited.
Like, here's what I want to say.
Kelly, the Raiders never got a fucked up call. Raiders are cheaters. Just let you know.
Get the fuck out of here, bro. The snow job. Don't even try to act like it. The snow job. There's a whole lot of shitty calls over the years.
I need to say this. It needs to be said, okay? When it comes to judging, are there fights you can point at and say, and we should point at it and say, okay, that was a flat-out robbery, or the judge was on some, and it should be called out? Absolutely. But like I said, it's only like 10% of the time, bro. Right? Other sports make horrible, obvious calls all the time. And this narrative that I'm spewing, it needs to be done by boxing fans because we're hurting our own sport by holding it to a higher standard than every other sport. When we shouldn't be as high of a standard because we're judging it at the end. There's not a scoreboard in the end.
This style is always the next season. For boxing, there's not a next season sometimes. If you lose that one fight, you might be done for like 5 or 6 years.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but what big fight was the guy done for 5-6 years though? Can you give me an example?
Well, 3 years, 2 years, 4 years. It doesn't matter. You can be if a boxer lose and this is his third last fight, he can't get another belt opportunity. He's done. So of course you get pissed off. But there's always the next season when you come to the NFL.
Real quick, because this proves my point. That this proves D-Star point. Was Des Bryant catch the ball? G-Funk? That's the point right there. It proves the point happens on the sports.
Well, let
But
me
you know what?
let me answer
Yes,
that.
he did. And guess what people don't do? That's why I don't watch football no more and all this. And football fans don't do it. They don't egg casuals on. Only boxing fans do that when it comes to judging fights.
You know,
There's a lot of problems with our sport, but the
one
judging
thing-
is overstated.
Here's the one thing I could say about that. Do I believe that was a catch? Yes, of course I do. But according to the rules, it's not. And
exactly.
what I liked about it was that at least in the NFL, they have that dude. What's his name? The ex-referee. He's right there, and they go straight to him. They're like, what do you think? Is it a catch or no according to the rules? And he'll actually break it down and say, hey, it was not. It's the right call. This is why. Did I hate that? Absolutely, but Kelly, I don't know why you had to bring that up.
It was a catch, bro. What do you mean? It was a catch.
I do too. I think it was a catch.
That's a lot easier to analyze than a 12-round boxing fight, bro. Come on. It's easier to analyze that catch.
And I'm going to say this to Big Dog Willie. Marshawn Lynch should have got the ball at the goal line, bro. That's all I'm going to say.
I just think that as boxing fans, we can't even agree till this day on Hagler versus Hearns, bro. People can watch it over and over again, and there's all these differences of opinion. It's a subjective sport when it comes to scoring, for the most part. Some things are just flat out obvious. Okay, we all know Canelo didn't win 6 rounds against Floyd. That one is obvious. Now, the right guy still, boxing still got it right, though. The right guy still won. You know what I mean? Even when the scorecards are wide, you could still argue that guy could have won anyway. It's. I just think it's overstated, okay, by many people. And maybe you guys personally know someone that just flat out stopped watching boxing because they didn't agree.
Nah, I don't. I know, but I hear people tell me that type of stuff.
I just do. I think it's overstated. That's just my
but at least in the NBA, remember Tim Donaghy, former referee? We know he was fixing games. He actually did fix games, even admitted it in court. He ended up serving prison time. But we know Tim Donaghy was actually literally fixing games. Nobody, no one stopped watching.
Leonard, not Hagler Hearns. Hagler knocked out Hearns. Okay, but yes, Hagler Leonard. I apologize for that. Just correcting myself. But there you go.
Yeah, but that's the point. My point is that no one's NBA ratings are going up. People are complaining. Actually, boxing ratings have been going up too. But people are always going to play. Boxing is definitely held to a higher standard. I think it's probably because it's more of a solitary sport because it's just the boxer kind of stands alone. It's not a team sport. In ways, it is a team because you got your trainer, you got your cut man. You know what I mean? You got your mitt man. You got everybody. You do have a team. But when you're in the ring, it's you. So I think that's probably why it's held to a higher standard. But it's still bullshit. We see bad calls in tennis. We see bad calls in golf. I mean, these are solitary sports as well. And we see look, man, when there's human error involved, there's going to be bad calls until we get something that's electronic. And eventually, and even electronics is not perfect every single time. There'll be mistakes within that as well. But it'll probably be the closest thing you can get to perfection. But in baseball, how many times we used to watch Atlanta Braves, Greg Maddux pitch, fuckers pitching the ball 6 inches off the plate. Strike. How the fuck is that a strike? That's not even close to a strike. But he gets it anyway.
He got a lot of those. He got a ton of those over the years, man. Believe me, as a Giants fan, I know. Damn Atlanta Braves eliminate us all the time, man, back in the day.
That's not even close to the plate, dude. Get the fuck out of here. But you will watch the umpire, and we've known. Matter of fact, Angel Hernandez, who's known as the worst fucking umpire in all of baseball, gets to umpire in playoffs. Like, all the baseball players hate this fucking guy. This guy robbed my team of a fucking home run. The Oakland A's. Matter of fact, I remember whatchamacallit. God, I forgot his name again. But he hit a fucking home run, and it was clear as day it was a home run. The replay showed it was a home run. And he said, and then they sent the replay back to New York. And then when they sent it back to New York was when I was trying to say, good, it was at the time, I don't know if it still is, but at the time it was up to the umpire to change a call. Angel Hernandez decided to keep the call as it was, as he originally called it, because he didn't want to upset. He didn't want to change his mind because he didn't want to make himself look bad. He said he hates cameras. He said he hates instant replay because it makes it makes him look bad. I'm like, dude, the goal is to get it right. Fuck your opinion, fuck your feelings. But this dude, for whatever reason, gets to stick around every year. For the past 7 years, this dude has been ruled and rated by all of the players in Major League Baseball as the worst, umpire in all of baseball. And this dude's still sticking around. So at the end of the day, like I said, boxing is not alone. There's corruption in every sport. We see horrible calls in the NHL, horrible goals allowed in. Just terrible, man. Just disgusting shit. I mean, I watched the NHL playoffs last year and was watching clear. I'm talking about clear penalties being let go, and then minor shit being called as penalties. Just like, dude, how the fuck do you allow him to get away with that hook? This dude fucking just poked this dude in the eye with the fucking hockey stick. I said, man, you gonna let that shit slide? Well, he wasn't bleeding. Yeah, I'm just telling you, man.
In the
Can
team
I
sports,
something? Look. 92 says boxing not held to a higher standard. I think you're missing the point, bro. Like the point's going over your head, 92. Like it's clear as day, bro. This is not, to me, it's not even debatable. When a boxing event arrives, people have unrealistic expectations for this event to deliver. Okay. Every single time. It has to be a barn burner, bloodbath type of fight for it to live up to their expectations. And then like the judges have to score it how they see it, and no one sees it the same. That is like a recipe to disappoint at least half of the people that watch it. Right? No other sport is held to that standard. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think for the team sports, like Kelly was talking, it's consistency, man. I think, we see it all the time, especially in the NBA. You get guys, especially in today's NBA, where you literally can't play any physical defense at all. But you see sometimes the referees will let this team play physical and not let this team play physical. It's just inconsistent, With boxing, it's a little different. I think there should be some sort of rule or something where if a judge has a certain amount of fights that they judge where their scorecard is just completely out of left field, like they should just be done. They shouldn't be judging anymore because it's pretty obvious. Either number one, they don't know what the hell they're watching, or number two, they're corrupted by promotions or whatever it may be. What do you guys think, man? Should there be like a rule or something to get rid of some of these guys?
I think they should go, but see, then again, we got to go to other sports where we need to be getting rid of the worst. Like Jerome Boger is the worst NFL referee, but this dude every year he gets to stick around. I'm like, how the fuck is this dude still in the league? He's horrible. Dude throws a million flags all the time. But I'm just saying that if you do it, I mean, you should get rid of some of these officials. I just think it should be across the board in every sport. I agree with D-Style that we should hold boxing to the same standard as far as judging. If we're gonna shit on boxing for bad judging, which I mean I can't stand some of these fucking judges. Some of these scorecards are unbelievable. But but then again, when I watch, you watch football, you're like, what the fuck was that? You see some of these calls, you see holding on a dude who wasn't even. I mean, the call holding on the guy who wasn't even in the play. He wasn't even on the field. He was on the sidelines, holding on number 77. Number 77 standing on the fucking sidelines. How the fuck did he hold? I mean, you can just see shit like that.
Check it out. Look, here's my only problem with that, G-Funk. Like, there could be a fight that's 12 rounds, okay? Like, let's say me and G-Funk have a boxing fight, okay?
Oh, that's a knockout, bro.
So,
go ahead.
Check it out. Let's say every round is razor close. But every round, you just get the best of me. Like every round. Like they're all competitive, they're all close, but you just get the upper hand every single round. It's not out of this world that you could win 10 rounds to 2, 11 rounds to 1, 12 rounds to 0.
But how would you feel D-Style had took the judges out to dinner for the past few weeks.
No,
How would you feel after the fight after that?
Like a lot of people think, because that's why you got to judge every fight in a fight per fight basis. Okay, there is fights where a guy could eke out almost every round and win very wide on the scorecards. There's no rule that says you got to give the other guy 5 rounds. You know what I mean? Just because you like, there's fights where a guy could win 4 rounds, but then he gets his ass beat. One-sided for 8 rounds, and it's not as close as the fight where the guy won 10, right? But they were all razor close. You know, so that's my only issue with that. Like, if a judge could explain, well, they were all competitive, but in every round, like G-Funk just edged out D-Style. Like that's just how I saw it. All the rounds looked the same. He edged them out the same every round. Yes, I had a 10 rounds to 2. What are you gonna do? Ban that guy? You can't.
But you're right though, because I mean, there's been fights where the fights ended up in a draw, where the first half of the fight, the rounds were really close, but of course you can give all 6 of the rounds to the first opponent, but the second opponent in the second half of the fight beats the shit out of the other guy, and the second half of the fight is so decisive that people are like, "There's no way in the world this shit was a draw," but that's not how fights are scored. Unless you want to score one of those rounds, a 10-8 round. If you don't score those rounds, if you don't score one of those rounds, a 10-8 round, it's a draw. It's 6 rounds. 6 rounds is 6. So I mean, that's basically what you're saying. You can either eke out every round. That's somewhat kind of like the Keith Thurman approach. If I could just eke out the first 7 rounds and then run the last 5, and that's weird.
Once again, tonight at 2 AKU, I know you want to be the contrarian, and that's cool, okay? But I never said anything about Pacquiao versus Thurman. I never criticized that fight. I think I actually called that fight. I'm on record saying I like that fight, okay? Nothing I'm saying is in absolutes, okay? Like, not everything I'm saying. People love that fight, yes, okay? They did. Now, are casuals going to reward boxing by shutting the fuck up and not criticizing all the time just because they like Thurman versus Pacquiao? No. Okay? Boxing fans are still going to complain. Casuals are still going to complain. Like, they're going to forget that fight gave them everything they wanted. They enjoyed that fight. But as soon as one judge scores something wide, it's immediately, that's what's wrong with boxing. And they're going to join all the casuals saying that, this is why I don't watch boxing. I'm going to stick to other sports and this, that, and the third. That's my issue with the sport. And I've clearly said that I'm on the side that I think it's overstated how corrupt or how bad boxing gets it compared to other sports. All right. So that's my caveat to that.
Yeah. Well, I think that we've kind of figured out a way to possibly get rid of some wide scorecards. If fights are competitive, and it could go either way. You won't hear me complain. I like what you said, D-Style, though, about how if you and I had a fight and I just eked you out every round. That kind of reminds me of how I seen the Jesse Vargas versus Mikey Garcia fight. I thought that was a pretty decisive, clear win for Mikey. I know a lot of people thought that fight was close, but those later rounds were like you said, they were close, but I felt Mikey eked him out at the end, so I gave him to him. And my scorecard was a little bit wider than most people. So yeah, that can happen too, man. Plus, I think also a lot of casuals, they just don't know how to score fights. To be honest with you, I've had fight parties where I've had people come to my house and like, oh man, I'm a huge boxing fan, bro. I watched him all my whole life. Yet this guy didn't even know that you scored defense. He didn't even know that that's a part of the criteria that you scored defense.
Yeah, but you could score the Mikey Garcia Jesse Vargas fight. You could have easily scored a 7 rounds of 5, but Mikey did beat the shit out of Jesse Vargas. And some of those rounds were very decisive, and some of them were really close.
Very close. Yeah.
And you could have won. That's why you could have scored a 7 rounds of 5, which you still viewing the fight as of this one decisive, a one-sided fight. Even though you were scoring the scorecards closer, and technically it wasn't because Mikey knocked Vargas down, so it's a little bit wider than that. But you could easily still have the scorecards close, but still look at the fight and be like, okay, Mikey look like pummeled this fucking guy, Jesse Vargas. You know, if you know what I'm saying. I think that's what D-Style was talking about, how you got to judge things on a fight-by-fight basis based off in other fights where Mikey might have run 10 rounds to 2. This fight was close on the scorecard, but it's clear as day that Mikey beat the shit out of this kid, man. At least his body felt like his body didn't feel like he won. Let's say even if they had scored at a draw, his body didn't feel like he won the fight. You know what I mean? There's fights where, funny thing is how boxing works. There's fights where you'll have the winner, and he is the winner, but he didn't win. Like, he got his ass beat. He got the shit beat out of him. He won a fight, but he lost the war. He do have to go spend time in the hospital. The loser is fine, walking around, able to go out and have a good time the next day, and the winner's fucking laid up in the hospital for like a month. I mean, it's happened. It's boxing for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, just look at Meldrick Taylor versus Chavez, the first fight.
Right.
That's a fight that a lot of people felt Meldrick was winning comfortably, but look at how damaged he was after the fight.
Yeah, fucking destroyed, man. I thought the fight was stopped a little early, but I mean, after looking at how Meldrick Taylor looked after that fight, it was. I mean, years later, I can say that it was a good stoppage. I mean, I really didn't care for Richard Steele because he was always stopping fights. But since we've had so many fighters die, he's probably better today. Go ahead.
The counter argument to that would be there was only like 10 seconds left.
Yeah. There wasn't enough time left for Chavez
he already
to do
took
anything
all
else.
the damage, so might as well just let the fight. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, Chavez is not going to get to him again.
Right.
Yeah, he
had
had to literally
gloves, and by the time he there was no more time left. You know what I mean?
He's running across the ring. Oh, there's the bell. You know. But let's switch topics now. Here's another problem with the sport that bothers me, and I'm a hardcore fan. The fact that promoters don't give us the fights that we want or the fights that should happen when they should happen. Geez, I mean, let's just go with the latest one. The supposed fight of the century that happened 5 years ago between Pacquiao and Mayweather was a fight that really should have happened years before it happened. Now, I know that there was other things that stopped that fight from happening, but I'm just using that as an example. We have right now a problem with Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford. You know, Crawford's on one side, like they say, one side of the street to the other, you know. Do you think that promoters have done good for boxing or bad? What do you guys think, man?
So here's what I'll say, okay? Promoters are just a necessity to boxing to a certain degree. You know what I mean? It's like whoever says get rid of all the promoters, then we're not going to really have a functioning sport. Like, you know what I mean? Like we do need promoters. That they are a necessity. And I know a lot of small time promoters, man, like that do a lot for fighters and they don't get talked about enough. Okay. I have a friend of mine over there in Philly, gives up a lot of her own money out of her own pocket, right? Has invested money in fighters and like hoping these fighters, you know, believing in them, hoping they can get a W, because if they don't, they're going to lose a lot of money. You know what I mean? So a lot of small time promoters do a lot for fighters. That's not talked about enough. Okay. Managers too, like earlier in boxers' careers, people don't even know this. Managers lose money on fighters because they're an investment. You know what I mean? And then once the fighter makes it, these fighters start talking like, I don't even know why I got to give my manager 10, 20, 30%. They don't even do anything. Completely forgetting that the manager was losing money on you, never knowing he was going to get a return on their investment, right? And I just want to kind of give everybody that side. There's promoters that put up their own money, life savings to promote cards, hoping to either break even or make some type of profit in that. And sometimes they don't. And they keep doing it to hopefully they could bring up their name and their brand. But, you know, they get muscled around by other bigger promoters and stuff. So small-time promoters, man, are very, very important. They do a lot of sacrificing to get fighters out there. even though they're fighting in front of 60 people. But guess what? They put up the money to make this event. Same with the managers, by the way. So that doesn't get talked about enough. You know what I mean? A lot of these promoters actually lose money. I remember Lou DiBella talking about how he was losing money with Paulie Malignaggi for like half of his career. And then once Paulie, started, getting in big fights, he started questioning, well, what has Lou DiBella ever done for me? And he left Lou. Okay. He ended up, joining the site that he said was robbing him, by the way, which is ironic. But so promoters are a necessity in boxing. They are important, especially, most importantly, when fighters are first starting out. In the higher scale, man, like Top Rank is really, really good at building up prospects. They have very, very good matchmakers, probably the best in the business in that small scale. The same with Golden Boy. Do fighters reach a point where they no longer need the big name promoter? Yes. And I think at that point, like a Canelo doesn't need a promoter right now. Like at that point, I don't think they need to stick around with a promoter. I think what they should do at that point is at a fight per fight basis, hire, if they want to, a promoter to do what? To promote their fight. Don King was really good at promoting and stuff like that. He just screwed over a lot of fighters. You know what I mean? But I'll just say that they're a necessity. And in my opinion, fighters should be loyal in terms of, okay, man, you lost this much money on me, but once you make a return in your investment, then I'm good. Like, I don't have to stay with you for life. Like I don't owe my life to you. Like we made the return. In the end, you made a profit out of me. Okay, now I'm good. At that point, once a promoter makes profit from you, once you've more than made up, what they lost at the beginning of your career, then it's time to move on. It's time to just go do your own thing, and stuff like that. I think there's a balance, but that's what I got to say about that.
No, you're right. Small time promoters, they don't get talked about a lot. That's why I'm glad I had my boy Danny on a couple times. He talked about the promoters that help promote him locally here in the area. I wish he was on right now because he could probably give us
a lot of boxing fans are very absolute, right? Oh, fuck all promoters. They don't do shit. They're all snake oil, man. Fuck all those guys. Fighters don't need promoters. Well, that's what you say.
Especially prospects need promoters for sure, man. Like prospects definitely need promoters. Promoters, I mean, that's they need. For me, prospects need promoters. They need managers. And hell, now today they need a publicist. I mean, you can't do anything without having a promoter, especially as a prospect. Who are you gonna fight in front of? I mean, and unless you had like a prominent amateur career where big time promoters, found you, but even still, you still need a promoter. It's hard. I mean, I see some young fighters coming out there trying to put together their own shows and stuff like that. Shit's hard, man. You got to have the right connections, to try to put on a fight in a hotel. Because that's where you got to start at small venues first, and you got to try to build your way up. That's very, very difficult. Not all promoters are jacked up. It's mostly these mega promoters when they get like a ton of clients and stuff like that. Then the whole priority is like, I'm making money. Everything I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make money. And then they pick what what's fucked up is about the big time promoters. Big time promoters are similar to what you would feel like what multinational corporations.
Yeah.
What they do is they eat up fighters. So if you have a fighter that's prominent or is look promising, it's like, let me swindle this fighter off of you. But I'm the one who got him to this point. What we'll do is we'll do a co-promotional deal. And then after that, we'll figure out. He's not telling you. He's going to try to get you to sign something that's going to end up giving him total power, or some type of way he's going to completely just swindle that fighter away from you at some point. It's like, look, I'm big. I got all connections to all the sanctioning bodies. That's what's really fucked up. See, the differences between the small promoter and a big promoter. The big promoters tend to have the relationships with the sanctioning bodies, and that allows them to. They can like, look, man, you come with me. and I can get you ready for a big fight within 2 or 3 fights. If you stay with him, it's gonna take you 10 to 15 fights before you're able to compete for a title. I also get you more money. Now, what he's also not telling you is that you might be signing some lifetime contract on top of that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what it like Bob Arum. He's like, man, but he's gonna be able to get you those deals. Bob Arum can get you that fight. He can. He has the relationships with the sanctioning bodies. So I mean, that's the difference. So someone like Bob Arum and someone like Don King and Eddie Hearn, these dudes, Oscar De La Hoya, they have connections to sanctioning bodies, and they can get you a shot. And it's not right. To me, you should have to earn that shot. I think everybody should have to earn a shot the same way. You shouldn't be able to buy a slot. They can buy. I mean, it's fucked up how it is, man. You can literally fight nobody, and your promoter can buy you a top 10 slot. It's like, where the fuck did this dude come from? All of a sudden, you look in the rankings. This happens. I swear to God, like every 6 months, you'll look and like, who the fuck is that? All of a sudden, some dude you never heard of in the top 10 out of nowhere in one of the sanctioning bodies. And what happened is what's happening is that it got bought. He bought that promoter bought a slot. So that's one of the downsides of it. But at the end of the day, yeah, fighters need promoters. As far as if you really want to do something, you got to separate the promoters from the sanctioning bodies, not just the referees and the judges. You got to separate the promoters from the sanctioning bodies. The sanctioning body shouldn't even really have a relationship with the promoters. Like, it should be the same way. You got to work your way to this spot. If you had a ranking like 100 and something in the world, and then all of a sudden you jump to like 50, and then you fight one guy, and all of a sudden you're ranked, number 18. One number fight, then you fight another fight, and all of a sudden you rank number 5. Get the fuck out of here! It doesn't make any sense. The dude jump from like 180 all the way up to number 5 in like 2 or 3 fights. Man, get out of here. That is not realistic, and it shouldn't be that way. You should literally have to fight your way to the top, and it will force all these dudes ranked in the top 20 and 30 and 40 to have to face each other, so we can find out who the best is, so we can actually find out who deserves to fight for a title.
Those are great points, man. And a lot of people don't see it that way, man. Like, I've seen guys locally that have been hurt because they don't have connections and those sort of things, but they'll have the same amount of fights, damn near the same amount of wins. But one guy's fighting on HBO and this guy is just fighting in, hotel ballrooms locally, that's the type of thing that just drives me crazy with promoters in boxing. We are now joined by 92 AKU, man. Chime in, man. Let us know your thoughts on this, man. Promoters.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Well, promoters really can't do anything about them. I mean, they get the fighters paid. I mean, if we want the fighters to get paid and we want the fights that we want, it's like, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen, because that's kind of like asking the UFC route, and their fighters don't get paid as boxers as much as boxers. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they don't get paid as much, but at least for the majority of the time, we get to see, the best guys fighting the best guys.
True.
In boxing, we don't always get that. I mean, look, we're waiting right now because, we want to see, the hardcore fans want to see who's the best at 147. In most people's opinions, it's either Spence or Crawford. But we can't get the fight because of promotions,
Let me, can I say something?
This has been going on for 10 years already. Like, we can't fix this.
It's been going on longer than that, but I agree.
Let me say this really quick.
Manny Pacquiao, Floyd era. I mean, this is a thing that we can't fix, because the order to fix that, we need a central, one organization, and then the fighters are not going to get paid.
That's what we're going to go into. But go ahead, D-Style.
Well, I mean, that's asking promoters that have invested a lot of their money to just, go out of business just because boxing fans want one central. I mean, it sounds great, but it's very difficult to do that. You know what I mean? But, here's what I'll say, though. At the end of the day, dude, I think the easy thing to do, and like I've done it myself, we all do it. The easy thing to do is to blame the promoters. It's Bob Arum's fault. You know what I mean? That's the easy thing to do. You know what I mean? It's easy to question a promoter. Nobody wants to question the actual fighters, bro. Okay? Nobody ever says, well, not everybody, but like, if a fighter wants a fight, it'll happen. Let me tell you guys something. Bob Arum and Don King hated each other. Okay? But their love for money superseded their hate for each other. They loved money more than they hated each other. Right? So if they could work together, they would have worked together. I don't buy this nonsense that promoters can't work together. And if they want to make the fight, they can make it happen. Right? If the fighters want to fight, they can make it happen. Okay? But one thing I wanted to bring up, and I kind of want your guys' thoughts on this. All right? No one ever talks about, and you kind of touched on it, G-Funk, and so did Kelly. No one ever talks about the fighters that screw over and abandon the small promoter that invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars in them, lost money in them to try and invest in them, and then the fighters just leave them and leave for a bigger promoter. No one ever talks about that, right? And then a lot of these same fighters will reach a point where they think they're too big for that promoter, and then they start acting like victims, even though I remember what he did to the small promoter, bro. No one wants to talk about the fighters, by the way, that have, like, after fights, not paid the trainers. Like, they don't pay their cut to the trainer. That happens more than people think, right? And then no one talks about the fighters that just talk like their managers don't do anything for them. But I don't know why my manager has to get a cut. Why should my manager? Because that's the contract you agreed to when you were nobody, bro. Like when you weren't making any money, they weren't getting anything out of you. They were losing money on you. Okay, so the agreement was, we're going to lose money on you now. This is the sport of boxing. A very small percentage of you actually make it to the top. So more than likely, I'm going to lose money in this. No one talks about all the fighters they lose money on and they never make money on because those fighters don't pan out. No one ever mentions that. No one ever mentions those fighters.
Everyone talking about like Terrence Crawford with his promoter. Well, at least Terrence Crawford promoters, they sued and they get a piece of Terrence Crawford's purse until he retires. They do. They get a piece of his purse until he retires. But I mean Bob Arum stole him. Bob Arum literally stole. Bob Arum literally stole Terrence Crawford from his original promoter. Literally stole.
Hey, Callie, it sounds like Terrence Crawford signed one of those ruthless record deals. You know what I'm saying?
What Bob Arum was supposed to pay, but Bob Arum arranged it for them to take the money out of Terrence Crawford's contract instead. Bob Arum, cold gangster, man. Bob Arum, like you said, bye guys. If you think I'm gonna fucking pay, there's no fucking way.
Before I let me finish my point real quick. So right now, and look, a lot of people are feeling sorry for him and all that. Do I feel bad for him? Sure. Like I'm not. Look, and I'm gonna say who I am, but let me finish. Do I feel bad for anyone that goes broke and stuff like when they made millions? Yes, I feel bad for them, but Michael Moore right now, I've seen videos of this dude on IFL TV talking about, I'm broke, and the reason I'm broke is because I have to give this percentage to my trainer and this percentage to my manager and this percentage to my promoter, and then I have to pay taxes, and that's why I'm broke. Dude, you still had millions, bro. Even with all those deductions, you still had a lot of money. That's not why you're broke, bro. Okay? Like you might have lasted 2-3 more years with the money if you'd have to give those cuts, but that's not why you're broke. You're broke because you didn't invest your money well. That's why you're broke. It has nothing to do with the cuts here, and because everyone has to pay a cut to somebody, bro. Everybody, right? I pay taxes. I don't make anywhere near what Michael Moore was making, but I have to pay taxes. Okay, like we all got to pay taxes, right? We all got to pay to a certain degree for things that we need. Right? Like I have to like StreamYard. I want to use StreamYard. I got to pay my cut to StreamYard. Okay, well when I use it, it's the way it is. Okay, like everyone has cuts that they got to pay in life. All right, that's not why you're broke, bro. You're broke because you didn't invest your money well. Mike Tyson is not broke because even if you argue Don King underpaid him, that's not why he went broke. All right, that's not why he went broke because he didn't know how to use his money right. That's why he went broke. Right? If he had $10 million more dollars or $100 million more, he was still going to go broke. Like it's just a harsh reality, and too many fighters now blame too much. Okay, on the cuts they got to pay the promoters and this and that, and everybody feels sorry for them. But at the end of the day, that's not why they're broke. All right. And I see that a lot. A lot of fighters blame the promoters they have. Mayorga came out like a couple years ago, right? That supposedly had a conversation with Oscar De La Hoya, and Oscar De La Hoya told him how much he made and told him you should have made this much. And Mayorga got mad because he according to him, he found out Don King owed him like $2 million. And he's broke right now. And this guy underpaid me 10 years ago. And he was over here trying to demand that money from Don King 10 years later. Right? Bro, you made millions for that fight still. Where'd the money go? Right? Even if Don King underpaid you, you're not broke because Don King underpaid you according to you. You're broke because you didn't invest your money right. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, man. That's just part of the thing, though. But I mean, a lot of these fighters today. So one of the good things about I give it to Al Haymon for what he does for his fighters. Not only does he make sure that you're paid, but he sets you up where you'll invest your money to the point where you'll have a retirement. So it's like he takes money from every fight and he invests it. Then he helps you. He teaches you how to invest your money in properties and things of that nature. So a lot of people out here thinking Luis Ortiz is broke. Man, Luis Ortiz owns so many properties in the Miami area. People think that this dude is broke, and this dude owns so many fucking properties, man, and businesses. So it's not what you think. Now, of course, you always want to look for that next major payday, of course, that huge payday. But as far as Ortiz and other fighters like that, they don't have to fight anymore. They don't. A lot of these dudes don't have to fight anymore. But of course, they would like to have that, that generational money. Like the floor money, you get one fight, you get like $50 million, $100 million. That change that don't just change your lives, but change your grandkids' lives. But the good thing about being in a position where you have a lot of different investments is that long term will turn into generational wealth to the point where you'll be able to take care of your grandkids. So that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I like what Al Haymon does. Now, I don't like the way some of the moves of PBC. PBC has done some shady shit, just like all boxing outfits do. But as far as taking care of his boxers, they're no joke. Vanes Martirosyan was the only one to complain. I'm talking about as far as the money goes with PBC, and he made a mistake. He admitted he made a mistake. Because every other fighter Vanes Martirosyan is broke. He left. He's broke. The rest of them fighters got money, have investments, doing good, man. You stick around long enough, you make enough money, you invest your money, they take care of you over there. They teach you how to do it yourself. Now, it's not that they're giving you money. It's your money. They're showing you how to take your money and make your money work for you. So that's why I like what PBC is doing. I've also I'm gonna tell you something else. Also heard about Eddie Hearn takes care of his fighters, man. That dude pays well. He is one of the rare ones, and that's a shocker. Oscar De La Hoya likes to. I'm telling you, Floyd Mayweather is known to be a shit promoter, but so is Oscar, man. Oscar's paying fighters at times like fucking $2,000, bro. I'm talking about on some of these fucking undercards, man, that were on pay-per-view and some that weren't on pay-per-view. That was on the zone. $2 fucking grand, bro, for a fight. What's his name against Gary Spike O'Sullivan? And he made $20,000 a fight on the undercard of Ryan Garcia. Oscar was trying to tell the fighters like, oh, we pay our fighters well here, $20 grand, bro. that's paying your fight as well. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Hey,
Don't even
that
try
two-
to say. Go
that
ahead.
$2,000 you're talking, man. That's a lot more than some of my friends that I know that went professional. They were making less than that. I'm not gonna say how much, but they were making less than $2,000.
No, I knew dudes who made like $500 for a fight, man. So I know
Yeah.
boxing is really bad, but coming from Oscar's not some small time boxer though. I mean promoter though. He's a major promoter. He's not a little promoter. That's why
Yeah.
you don't expect him to be giving little small money like that to someone
Yeah.
like Gary Spickles.
Yeah, but
Gary
that's-
Spickles still got $20,000 though.
That's back to my point though. Like okay, in many cases, right? When fighters are first starting out, the reason they need a promoter is no one knows who the hell you are outside of your family and his extended friends, bro. You know what I mean? Nobody knows who you are. So that's why you need a promoter. In fairness, a lot of promoters will invest in fighters. That's why they're not making a lot from jump. But if a manager or promoter feels like this guy is special and he's going to be a big name one day, we don't want him having a second job and want to focus on boxing. Like they'll take care of these fighters. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
They'll take care of them outside of whatever it says they made for a fight. You know what I mean? Like it may say 2,000 on the fight, but they're paying their rent, they're paying their vehicle, they're taking care of their utilities or groceries. Like they're taking care of the fighter. You know what I mean? Like all their necessities so they can focus on training as well. And I think that goes a little bit unnoticed. And it goes back, bro, to those small promoters, all right, that have to take care of these fighters to be able to have the events that they have and that they promote and stuff like that.
So do you guys since we're talking promoters now,
bro.
Yeah,
Right over there.
go ahead, bro. You can chime in anytime you want, man.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man, the promoters, we're not gonna fix anything about that. But the belts, the only one we can fix, I think you can fix the belts. The boxers could fix the belts. They can just say, hey, we're not gonna fight for this belt, and they can just start. But that's gonna be hard too because these boxers, all they really want is that belt. You know, so if they can all organize and say, hey, we don't want, they can eliminate the belts and stop paying the sanction fees, and then the sanction fees are at the mercy of the boxers. So they could it's going to be hard because they all want to be a champion. So I mean, that's why these organizations aren't going anywhere, because these boxers are willing to pay that, because well,
that's the main goal. I mean, if you're going to be an athlete, you're going to be in professional ranks, your goal is to be a champion. And unfortunately in boxing, the belts don't mean a damn thing anymore, which sucks. But guys, what do you think about? I know we kind of we touched on this a little bit about how if all promoters go away, then they obviously their business has to shut down and things like that. But do you think that would be a good thing to say, you know what, no more promoters, so that we can't have cherry pick fights? You can't have fighters avoiding other fighters. Like, what do you guys think about that?
You talking about you get rid of you talking about so you can't have cherry pick? Repeat that again.
Yeah, just basically like you can't cherry pick fights, because we know that promoters, they want to put their star in there against the guy they could look good against or possibly knock out, right, for obvious reasons, but then we don't get that's
okay for a prospect. That's okay for a prospect, man. If you're a prospect working your way up, that's okay. And then also say it's also okay if like you guys got whooped or you got knocked out for a comeback fight or a tune-up fight. But if you're working your way up, then I think there should be certain type of people. I don't think you should be able to get to pick your opponents. We've seen fighters do that in the past in order to become a title contender, to become mandatory. We've seen fighters pick their own opponent. How the fuck you get to pick your opponent to become mandatory? That's just disgusting to me, man. You're like, you know what? I don't want to fight you. I'm going to fight him. We've seen it happen. We've seen Danny Garcia do that shit plenty of times. Danny Garcia chose to fight Adrian Granados. he had an opportunity to fight Sean Porter or fight Adrian Granados. He chose to fight Adrian Granados to become the mandatory for the WBC. Like,
Yeah.
Adrian Granados is a 140-pounder, man. I don't understand how you can justify that as a fight for or a title eliminator. That's just, I no disrespect to Adrian Granados. He's a tough fighter, and I think he's a damn good fighter at 140. At 147, he's just he's food. At 147, he's just not big enough. But yeah, I agree that there should be, but that goes to the point of you got to disconnect the promoters from the sanctioning bodies. It should have to come through merit, not through finance. It should come through merit, not finance. And until you break that tether from between the promoter and the sanctioning bodies, that part ain't gonna change. And I mean, earlier we were talking about Earl Spence, Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford has to agree to 40%. It's just that simple. Earl Spence said we make the fight. It's 60-40. He said I couldn't make it more than that, but 60-40 is fair. You can. I've had 2 pay-per-views. You've had 2 pay-per-views. I sold more in my first pay-per-view than you did in both of yours combined. I sold more in my second pay-per-view than you did both of yours combined. At this point, I'm clearly the A side. So you can, and he said, and I got 2 belts on that. Not only do I have a bigger following than you, I get more views than you. I make more money than you. But let me keep it on it. I mean, Terrence Crawford, even though he's paying that promoter, dude gets paid, man, every fight. He's not broke. But that's what Earl Spence is like. Earl Spence is like, nah, man, it's on my terms. It's like, man, I'm not asking for anything crazy. 60-40 is fair. Again, I said from a business standpoint, Terrence Crawford wants 50-50, but he said, man, no, you got to be a draw. And you're not a draw on pay-per-view. You haven't done any numbers on pay-per-view. I think his first pay-per-view, he sold 75,000. Then I think he did like 100-some thousand for the American fight. I mean, you tell me Earl Spence did 400,000 in 2 straight fights. I mean, that's consistency. That's not, and then it's not equal. It's not equal.
Yeah.
At that point,
I'm with you, Nick. But yeah, I'm with PBC, dude. They get their fighters. If I was the fighter, I'd go with PBC. They take care of their fighters for sure.
Well, Terrence Crawford should have went to PBC. Remember, whenever you guys, I think you remember when I was saying that Jamal Charlo should go to the zone at the time because all the fights are over there. I was like, man, even if you only want to go over there for X amount of fights, go over there and get your title shot. But I mean, unfortunately, Canelo ended up doing this whole franchise bullshit. That's a whole nother, I don't want to go into all that. But I'm just saying, man, the point is you got to break the tether from the sanctioning bodies and the promoters, man.
Yeah, but
So check it out, Chief. Can you repeat your question really quick? What was your question?
Oh man, now you testing me, man. I'm old, bro. I can't remember what I just said 5 minutes ago.
I can repeat it for you. I can repeat it for you. He basically was saying this. He was saying the ideal is how can he said the whole ideal is how do you get the fighters to basically stop picking their own fights or the promoters to stop making these fights where fighters are able to avoid other fighters where they don't get to pick their own fights. So let's just say like if a fighter's trying to fight for a title eliminator or if he's trying to work his way up through the rankings, he doesn't get to pick his opponents. The opponents is picked by the sanctioning body or, you know what I mean, where he has to work. He has to actually go through everybody has to go through stiff competition in order to, eventually earn your way to a title shot. You don't get to go through and fight like 40 fucking bums or 10 fucking bums and then all of a sudden you get a title shot. Like you got to actually work your way through the rankings all the way through.
I got you. So check it out, man. Okay. Let me put it really, really simple. If the sanctioning bodies did what they're if they did what they're supposed to do, we wouldn't have these problems. You know what I mean? Like if they had a legitimate top 10, if they didn't take bribes from promoters, if, all that, if they did what they're supposed to do and say, hey, this guy, he's the mandatory, you got to fight him. If you don't agree to terms, then you're going to go to purse bids and he gets an automatic 30% of the purse minimum. And that's it. You know what I mean? If they win, and I don't care if he's not a name, I don't care if he's not popular. He earned his shot. You're going to give it to him, or you're stripped, and he's going to fight the number 2 guy for the vacant title. Point blank. Period. If every sanctioning body followed the rules, their own rules, and didn't just make up rules and didn't put guys where they didn't belong, and there was a real ranking system, they would play the perfect check and balance to the promoter and the fighters, right?
Yeah, that's
If
politics.
they did what they
though.
were supposed to do. That's what I'll say.
You're
you're
describing the IBF. He just described the IBF. But the IBF, the reason the IBF rankings aren't as good because dudes don't want to go through there. Not only that, because they don't like the rehydration clause, but they also dudes don't like the fact that they're forced to fight the mandatories. That the mandatories are going to get a shot. Sometimes they don't like the mandatory. They also don't like that they don't get to order the IBF around. So the IBF, as of right now, to me, is by clear the best sanctioned body.
So here's what I want to say. So, because I think sometimes, like even I do it, we start talking about everything. Like we all know what's wrong. The question is, how do we fix it? And that's the hard part. Because you know what, G Funky, they're in different countries. The IBF's in the U.S. You could actually sue the IBF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you cannot sue other sanctions, or you can, but it's so difficult because boxing is a worldwide sport. There's different jurisdictions and all that. So
The WO's in Puerto Rico. That's a U.S. territory. So that's 2 of the sanctioning bodies at least we can get to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I'm trying to say is it's still difficult to do it, but the how to fix it is we got to get the sanctioning bodies to do what they're actually meant to do. You know what I mean? And to get rid of, we already talked about all these other excess belts and franchise belts and all. That's how you fix it. We were going to talk about all the problems all day, and this is what this guy did, that guy did. Well, how do we fix and prevent those guys from doing all these things?
We can't.
We have to make sure that they become the check and balance.
We can't
Yeah, the
fix none of
belts.
these issues.
Yeah, I mean, unless like D-Saw said, the belt's got to go away. You know, and they need to just do their fucking job, plain and fucking simple. You know, their job is to not do like, you know, let me just go ahead and let this guy slip through or this guy slip through. Like, there's nobody there to make them follow the rules. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem I have with it, man. I think that there should be something there, man.
The WC with the belts is getting similar like college football bowls. You know, the Brinks Gallery garbage football. The Monarch sit on your ass and chew popcorn bowl. I mean, that's like the WC now. We got the Emerald belt, got the WC Silver, we got the WC Diamond, we got the WC Gold, whatever the fuck it is, WC Interim, WC this, WC that, WC Wipe My Ass, WC Shut the fuck up, the WC. I mean, I just fuck out of here, man. I mean, that the WC is out of hand. No one should take them seriously at this point, man. With all the fucking belts that they got, man, they got 1,000 fucking belts. They got a belt for everything. It's disgusting, bro.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. And that's what makes boxing what it is, man. People just like I said, people are like, well, who's the champion? Well, why has this guy got a belt? Why has this guy got a belt? Why aren't they fighting each other? You know, like it just I mean, dude, it's so difficult. I don't know how it is for you guys, but it is so difficult for me to try to explain to somebody, like especially a coworker who's, you know, probably a casual fan. You know, I got to explain to them why all these guys have a belt and why all these guys can't fight each other. And it's frustrating, man. It's frustrating. I really wish it was ran, and I really wish that there was somebody there to regulate it, man. And like AJ10, there's a great comment. In the big picture, boxing events are run like concerts instead of sporting events. Absolutely. It's a big, giant show. It's a big, giant show. Let's get the guys together who can draw the most money. Fuck the other guys who actually earn the spot. You know, like that. That really pisses me off, man. It really does piss me off. What do you think about a governing body, Callie?
Well, I mean, it's a good idea. It would have to be, but the problem is that governing body can be corrupted too. Is we know what the next step would be is that the promoters would get them together and then they would buy that off. So if you put together a board, that can be bought off. I mean, it has to come under. It would have to come from multiple governments willing to play by the rules. It's your human nature. To me, it's human nature is to fuck people over, man. That's part of human nature is to fuck people over. We all know too.
Especially when there's a lot of money involved. Yeah.
we also know too when it comes to this judging shit. If let's say if you got two fighters, the fight's close. One guy is a draw. One guy draws in, 4 million viewers a week, and the other fucking guy has never been on TV, is obscure, no one knows him, but he more than likely won the fight. We all know damn well they're not going to give the fight to that fucking guy. No way. Mm-hmm. He can forget it. Even though he won the fight, he's not going to get it. No way. It's like, dude, you don't make any money. And you got to look at it from this standpoint. As fucked up as it is, and it's totally fucked up, I can't stand this shit. But if you're a promoter, do you feel bad? You're like, fuck this. We think we're gonna allow this dude to get the win? This dude doesn't have a fan base. Nobody knows who this dude. Of course, X Boxer is gonna win over Z Boxer. X Boxer's a draw. I know the next fight, he's gonna draw in 4 million. How many people have ever watched you fight before? What? 60 people, 80 people, 100 people? That's the most I've ever watched you watch. No, you think I'm going to allow you to beat him? Dude, the only way for you were going to win tonight was through knockout.
Hey, but you put that thing about Al Heyman being good. Like, he's good for the boxers, but he kind of did hurt the sport.
Hey, bro, if you didn't, you must have missed the part when I said I have my issues with him, but I said, but what he does for the boxers is good. Yeah, you didn't hear me. I couldn't say that.
I'm just pointing that out. Like, that's one of the issues too, is that he overpaid the fighters, and that kind of messed up the market. So these guys are like, dude, I'm not going to fight this star for this amount of money. I want more because I
don't think the fighters are overpaid, man. Because man, if you see some of these fighters, man, when they're done, man, I hate that term, fighters being overpaid. Because if you see a lot of these fighters that can't walk, man, can't talk. You know what I mean? I think that's bad.
No, I mean, I'm all for them I want them to get every dollar they deserve it. But I mean, that makes them not want to. If they're getting like $3 million to fight, let's say Berto, if they got Berto got paid too, but to fight Berto, they're gonna want $10 million to fight Spence or someone like that, Crawford and Spence.
Yeah, that's Keith Thurman. That's Keith Thurman said. Keith Thurman said he wanted fighting Earl Spence, but nothing less. He's talking about he wanted a guaranteed $10 million with money on the back end to fight Earl Spence. So
that's crazy, man.
That's crazy.
Will Belchet, he's saying like, dude, if I'm gonna fight Loma, dude, I want.
Who was that the other day? Who was that like a couple weeks ago that was really on Keith Thurman's dick? Who was that dude? I don't know if he's still in D-Star. Go away. Okay, D-Star left. Yeah, I forgot that dude's man. That one dude was like, dude, he was like, oh, Keith Thurman, like, dude, get off this dude's dick.
Whoa, bro. Dude, one time, dude, come on.
Fuck Keith Thurman.
What the hell? Ponytail?
Keith Thurman, like, I'm not here for you, the fan. My goal is to make sure that I get the most money as I can. Now, I'm here to entertain you, but if you think I'm gonna do what you want, you must be crazy. Now, but
what's wrong with that?
My goal is that Earl Spence is not on my to-do list now.
Okay, he did
I'm injured and I'm not gonna fight him until I'm healthy. You just getting ready to fight Manny Pacquiao, though, dude. You know what I fucking hated about Manny Pacquiao? I mean, not Manny, excuse me, but Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman in 2017, after Earl Spence had beat Kell Brook, he was ready to fight Manny Pacquiao. But then after Manny Pacquiao said no, then he said, Earl Spence said, I can fill in. I have a belt. We can unify. Then Keith Thurman went on to say, I had injury, so I had to have surgery. You was going to fight with your fucked up elbow against Manny Pacquiao. Dude, I just like, bro, he tried to go have surgery with Earl Spence. Yeah. When people started putting pressure on him to fight Earl Spence, this dude, that's what people hated about Keith Thurman. That's why people why people hate Keith Thurman because of that shit.
No.
Dude didn't fight for 2 years.
Dude,
Man,
you fought
2
everyone.
fucking years, man.
And you
Who has the
better
better
not
record?
duck me.
Who has a better
You better
record
not
than
duck me, son. You better not duck me, son.
yeah, who has a better
Then this
record
dude went over
resume
there,
than
started.
Thurman?
Then went over there went over to Nepal on the whole Golden Child tip, and then was boxing in the streets and shit, bro. I'm just telling you, but man, I got her want the knife. I mean, he said he went over there with the whole Golden Child, child tip, and was pissing everybody off. I'm like, dude, what? When you gonna fight Earl? Oh, I'm not
He's not
planning to
afraid to
fight
let his
him
own
now. It says so. He said, me and Earl, we gonna fight, but right now, I don't have as much food room in my belly that he has. I mean, then he changed and said, I mean, I still have a lot more room in my belly. Wait a minute, hold on. You telling me you're not hungry enough to fight him, but then you have to correct that shit because what you just said sounded horrible. It just, I said, oh man, go away. I was like, can we strip this dude? Please, can we strip this dude and hold on to the belts for 2 years? WA, that's what I hate too. The WA and the WC allowed this dude to hold on to the belts forever without fighting. And it's disgusting. It's just disgusting shit, man. Just absolutely disgusting shit, man. I mean, I can't fucking stand these sanctioned bodies, man. Keith Thurman, the WC finally did it. The WA went on to let him hold on to it until he fought Manny Pacquiao. That dude held on to the belt for 2 years until he fought Manny Pacquiao. And then finally, we fought Josito Lopez too. Then he fought Manny Pacquiao. But I mean, he wasn't gonna fight. If Manny Pacquiao didn't fight him that year, he wasn't gonna fight again that year. Now, Keith Thurman, I haven't heard about Keith Thurman was supposed to before this whole pandemic and shit came down. I didn't want to hear about Keith Thurman coming back anytime soon. Keith Thurman probably would have came back at the end of the year, fought one time this year, and then been back next year. That's just who he is, man. He fight one time a year. That's what one time stand for. Can't stand that dude, man.
One time, baby. Go ahead, 92 AKU.
No, he was hella disrespectful at one time. He's not afraid to let his O go. He was he had a good run, man. He's just past his prime now, and he had a good. He beat the top
we're past his prime because he don't want to fight. That dude ain't motivated to fight no more. That's why he passed his prime. Train. Dude had blew up to almost 200 pounds, man.
He already
before
looks
he
like
Josito Lopez
right now.
Hey, you know what I figured out, Callie? I figured it out, man. The dude won a couple of belts and thought he was Superfly. You know what I'm saying? He looked like every time I see him, he looks like Ron O'Neal, man, with his hair, with his long hair hanging down and shit. Oh man. But this is this has been a good discussion again, man. This was part 2 of How to Fix Boxing. I'm glad that you guys.
What were your answers? Like, what was like the most like realistic option that you figured out
for promoters, or what?
Like, in general, like all these issues, like any of these issues about all the sucky parts about boxing.
Well, I'm hoping after we touch on all the topics, we could go back and review and then try to come up with some answers. I feel like like we spoke about this last week, man. I feel like there should be more tournaments to determine guys to be in the top 10 or the guys that have a shot.
Hell yeah!
At a title, like I'm sick and tired of all the excuses from fighters. And do I personally think that it's they're scared of each other? No, I don't think any fighters are scared. I just think that
it's business, bro.
They're scared to lose.
Yeah, the business. They're scared to lose money. They're scared. The promoters are scared of their investments and all that type of stuff. Look at
PBC. They got all the top 8 154s. They can make like a Super 6, Super 8 154 tournament. They don't do that. They got Charlo 160 Charlo.
Hey, bro, I can't complain about 154. Them dudes been fighting, bro. 154 been fighting.
Like to me, they don't want to risk Charlo. That's why they're giving.
What are you talking about? Charlo try to fight them dudes. That's not true, bro. Hey, hold on, man. That's not true. Jamel Charlo.
Brian Adams. Now they got.
Hold on, Jamel.
Who's with Heyman?
I don't know.
You see that fight happening? That fight.
You talking about Jamel Charlo? Fighter. Can you hear me? Jamel Charlo tried to fight. First he tried to fight what's we call him again? Jared Hurd. He tried to fight Jared Hurd, and Jared Hurd said he had shoulder surgery and needed a tune-up. Then he ended up fighting Julian J. Rock Williams, and then J. Rock Williams, wanted to get a tune-up before he wanted to get a fight at home before he fought Jamel Charlo. Then Jason Sosa just beat J. Rock Williams. Now he won another fight before. You see what happens? You see the pattern here? All these dudes all want to get fights in before they fight Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo trying to fight them dudes, bro. It ain't him. But other than that, though, other than them not fighting Jamel Charlo, them dudes been fighting, bro, at 154. Them fighters at 154 have been getting it in. I mean, I want to see Jamel Charlo get an opportunity to get all them belts, but them dudes been fighting at 154, man. Them dudes in the top 15 been fighting. Everybody in the top 15 and fought somebody in the top 15 multiple times. It ain't like they just been going around fighting nobody. They've been fighting, bro. 154. That's the one division that has really been active. As far as close to being the glamour division, 154 they've been fighting, and them dudes been taking L's. So I can't complain about that division. Other than I would like to see Jason Sosa and Jamel Charlo fight. We got Castaño supposed to go on against Teixeira.
No, but
and
I was
then
talking about
if Castaño wins, if Castaño wins, he's supposed to fight Jamel Charlo.
Because they're stalling. They had Charlo and what's his name, Hurd. They were lining it up, but one lost and the other guy lost, and that went.
Yeah, what? Now they weren't really lining up because Charlo wanted to fight before that. Hurd, the one that I'm telling you, because this is somebody who spoke to Hurd, who's interviewed Hurd. I'm telling you this, bro. Hurd wanted to get tune-ups in first. This is what Hurd wanted. Trying to tell you, bro. Hurd wanted. Then Hurd ended up fired his team. Now he's working on a whole nother style after he lost. But Jamel Charlo trying to fight all them dudes, bro. He want the smoke. He believes he can knock them out.
I don't believe it's fighters for the most part. I think it's just like you said, business, man. It's guys.
No, it was Jason Sosa's promoter literally stated this, bro. It wasn't Sosa. It was his promoter.
Yeah,
his promoter something like no.
When I was hearing him earlier, now I can't hear him.
No, you don't hear me. You can't hear me. You guys hear me?
Well, he can run it back. I can hear you, Callie. I can hear you just fine, man. I think 92.
Oh, okay, you can hear me fine.
Yeah, I can hear you fine, man. I think it's 92.
Okay.
Some audio problems, but
Okay, no, this is what I was saying though. Jason Sosa's promoter was saying, he said, "Oh, we want to fight the mandatory. We want to fight the IBF mandatory." That's what his promoter said right after the fight, after they knocked out J. Rock Williams. And it was like, "What do you think about Charlie?" Like, "Oh no, we want to fight the IBF mandatory." What? Like, no. Like, dude, all y'all dudes keep losing. Bro, it's like, come on, man. We want to see this shit. We want to see this unification bout. Let's get this in. Like, we understand, man. Look, the 154 is loaded.
True, Enigma. I do remember that. He did say he wanted a hometown fight.
Yeah, 154 loaded, bro. 154 loaded. Them dudes keep knocking each other off. I love that. That's my favorite division. Them dudes fighting and they taking losses, man. And it's just upset after upset in that division. I'm enjoying that. That's the one division I can watch and enjoy because I'm like, man, you don't know. Styles make fights. You don't know who's going to get in there and take the next loss. So that's what I love about 154. And then, of course, we're not too far away. We're probably about another year and a half away from them dudes at 147. They all going to be heading up to that same division. The division is going to get deeper, man. 154 is a killer division, man. Love it. I fucking love it, man. Them dudes beating the shit out of each other. And that's I can't complain about that, man. I can't complain about them dudes fighting each other and taking L's. I don't care if you lose. If you fighting good competition, I like it.
Yeah.
So I just want to see more of it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I think if you're in there fighting guys who are the best in the division, you take a L. Hey, fuck it. At least we got in there. Now we know. Now we know where you're at. But yeah, this has been another great episode, man. Part 2 of How to Fix Boxing. Maybe next week we'll do another one. I got to think of some more topics. I mean, I know there's plenty of other issues with the sport that we could talk about. Any last words, guys? Callie, you go ahead and go first, and then 92AKU. But I want to say before you go, Callie, thank you to my brother D-Style. I know he's getting ready to go live as soon as we end here. So make sure that you guys shoot over there to his channel and check him out. But I want to thank D-Style for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Go ahead, Callie. Last words, man.
Oh, yeah, man. Thanks for inviting me on, man. I appreciate you, man. And yeah, man, there's a ton you could do to fix boxing, but boxing is what it is because it's always been corrupt. Boxing has never not been corrupt. Never. It's been corrupt since it's been around. Since money really got introduced in it. Once money got introduced in it, it became corrupt, and it's going to be corrupt after we die. It was corrupt way before we were born. It was corrupt before your grandparents were born. It was corrupt before your father was born. It was corrupt. It'll be corrupt after you was corrupt before you were born. It's gonna be corrupt after you. It's just gonna be corrupt, man. That's just corruption and boxing go together, man. It's just what it is, man. It's I know it sounds disgusting to say, but it's the truth. And we always gotta have somebody shady in power. That's just the way boxing is. But at least we've gotten some good fights. I would like to see more good fights. But from a business standpoint, like, well, if we give you all these big fights now, then it's later. We want to maximize our dollar, so we want to keep putting them off because we're looking for that Mayweather payoff, and that's an anomaly, bro. It's not. Excuse me. It's not what the promoter. It's not what the promoters think. These promoters think that by waiting, you're going to turn the fight into Mayweather versus Pacquiao, bro. Them dudes were megastars, man. You had two megastars, waiting to collide, and everybody wanted to see it. I mean, we don't really have two megastars like that. Both them dudes were huge, and both them dudes. Not only were both of those dudes huge, they were basically pop stars. They were international stars, of global stars, people outside of boxing. If you didn't even watch boxing, people knew who both of them dudes were. We don't really have that right now in the sport of boxing. We have dudes that have pretty big names, but we don't have multiple dudes that are really known. Where if you ask people outside of who is this person, who is that? I mean, some people will know, like Wilder and Fury, and a lot of people know Canelo, but you don't really have two dudes. Even with Canelo being as big as he is, and I think he's taken a step back. I think he's had a setback being on that app. But even him, he's not as big as what Manny and Floyd were, bro. Them dudes were just
huge.
But then they were fucking massive, bro. I mean, we used to have a lot of boxers like that. At one point, we had Mike Tyson, we had Holyfield, we had Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. We had fucking Hagler Hearns. I mean, going through from the 80s and 90s, we had a lot of different fighters, far more fighters than what we have now that were global stars. We don't really have that today. We don't have guys that have reached that status. UK dudes try to say Anthony Joshua was not on that level, not even fucking close. And I think somebody will get to it one day. I just don't think we have the people here yet. Andy Ruiz, to me, in my opinion, could have been that guy. He decided he wanted to eat. He decided eating was more important than that. So, but that's a whole nother subject, bro.
No, you're right, man. I agree. Andy Ruiz could have been that dude, man, but he, decided to eat tacos instead. 92 AKU, man. Your last words, man, and thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Cool talking to you guys. Enigma, shout out. Yeah, man, like these problems, like you said, they're gonna still be on. They're gonna go on forever, man. But we're still gonna love this sport because something's wrong with us, I guess. Like Paulie said, remember after he lost, he said, boxing is full of shit. I used to love this sport. And he came back a couple of months later and got another fight. Just what it is. I mean, we get mad. We get hella upset. We say, I bet you said multiple times, like, man, I'm done watching this sport. And then you come back and watch it again because you get excited for the next fight. You get hyped up for the fights. Nothing like boxing, man. I love it. I'm going to keep going for it. Thanks for having me on, man.
No problem, man. Thanks to you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. Big shout out to 92 AKU and the Cali Enigma. Great having you guys.
Before you go, man, did you ever say that about the NFL, man?
Thanks for having me.
You're like, I want to know about G4. You ever said about the NFL, like, God damn it, I'm not watching this shit no more. This bullshit, man. They do this shit. Get that man. Just wanted to ask you, man.
I have said it. The only time I've done it was when the year after the Colin Kaepernick controversy with the kneeling and how they blackballed him. I stopped watching that next year, man. I just thought that was ridiculous. And that was the only time I actually did stop watching football. I didn't watch it the whole year, man. My wife was like in shock, bro. Like I'm telling you, like Sunday came around and football wasn't on, and she's looking at me like, like, what is going on here? You know, you got the game. I said, nah, you know, I'm just not messing with it this year. But yeah, I have said it multiple times, especially after my Kings got screwed over by the Lakers in 2002, man. That was a tough one.
Yeah, that was a fucked up call.
That was a tough one, man.
Yeah, the King got fucked over. King got fucked over, man.
And the only thing that brought me back was because, you know, we were good. So we had a chance the next year. Unfortunately, Chris Webber gets hurt in the second round of the playoffs, and then that was it.
The NBA wanted the Lakers to go to the finals, in my opinion, man, with some of that shit, man. It's a whole other subject.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Maybe I'll make a video on that, man. The anniversary is coming up, so maybe if you want to jump on that one too, man, you're more than welcome to anytime, man. You're more than welcome on my channel, man.
Oh man, when it comes to the NBA, man, I've seen so much fucked up shit, man, over the years, man. It just, I mean, like man, I rooted for the Bulls against the Utah Jazz, but Michael Jordan fucking shoved Brian Russell, man. That was an offensive foul, man. A clear as day. He clearly shoved it off, bro. That's a clear offensive foul. I also watched Reggie Miller. I watched Reggie Miller shove off Michael Jordan and hit a jumper, a game winner. Just two hands. I was like, the NBA. Patrick Ewing used to 3 steps for his hook shot. 3 steps. I'm like, that's a fucking travel, man. Because he's a star player? Because he's a star player. That's not a travel, dude. That's a travel every time. But I'm just telling you, man, I could complain. So many complaints about the NBA that I got thousands of them, and Major League Baseball, man. Major League Baseball, man. At times, I just like, this is such bullshit, man. And I mean, come on, you know that this strike zone is wide as fuck. And then sometimes you see like the strike zone is really small. You're like, man, well, how can a pitcher pitch? I mean, strikes that are clearly going across the plate are being called balls. The strike zone is not only the strike zone like small on the plate, but the strike zone of the batter at the plate is it's from the top of the knee to the waist. Anything over the belt line is a ball. Dude, it's supposed to be from the bottom of the knee to the fucking letters. But but those are called. I see this shit all the time. Like, that's a fucking strike, dude. You caught that a ball? That's like, man, get out of here. And then the umpire would get mad when the batters getting where you gotta adjust. I'm like, no, the fucking umpire needs to call the right strike zone. I'm sick of that shit, bro. Dude, you should know how to. You know what balls and strikes are. That's what you got trained to do. I mean, I don't understand that why all these umpires have their own strike zone. That's bullshit to me, man. But I got a lot of complaints about. I got complaints about sports, period, man. That'll people like, what the fuck, dude? What are you talking about? I said, bro, oh yeah, you are right. That is fucked up. I got a lot of complaints about sports, man, officiating, bro. A ton.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you, man, for sure. We'll definitely, man. If this quarantine goes on and on, man, we could touch on those topics too, man, because I've seen a lot of fucked up shit over the years with some of these other sports too, man. Not just boxing, but you know, we got to do something about some of this stuff here with boxing, man, or at least talk about it. But thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all you guys that were here in the chat. Make sure you shoot over to D Styles channel right now, man. But I'm gonna end this one out. We'll be back with part 3. Maybe next Friday. We'll see, man. But as of right now, I'm going to cut it, man. And I thank you guys for joining me. This is G Funk. I'm out. Have a good weekend.